I don't know if he's ready to fight you guys yet, but Ting Jesse taking any and all questions, but also challenges today. Representative from Ting says he can kick your ass at StarCraft 2. It's time to prove him wrong, guys. So if you see him in chat, hit him up. I can't guarantee you'll get to fight him, but at least get on the, I guess, list. At any rate, it's good to see Jesse joining us in chat today. We are, of course, in game number 2. In the top left side of the map, we've got the red Zerg player. It's going to be Team Liquid's Snute.
In the bottom right, as the purple Protoss, he is NaNiwa.
I like this, by the way. Smelly Pickle's trying the opposite. Everyone's trying to attack Jesse, and Smelly Pickle's like, hey, do you have heroes? Or maybe Hearthstone? Maybe we can just be friends.
Yeah, we just be buddies.
Wrong direction, man. It's all about death. Take him out. Play StarCraft. Of course, by the way, Riamar has contacted us now saying he's got a couple of games to give away as well for later today. So after this series is concluded, we'll get another raffle going on in the chat so people can perhaps get some more Vidya games in their pockets thanks to our moderators.
I'm sorry, what games?
Vidya games.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Make sure I didn't hear you wrong, and I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to remind everybody that while the Ting qualifiers continue, and this is the last one available for any players to qualify through, top 3 are going to get through, 2 from the winners, 1 from the losers, but also, and more importantly, our group stages start up like boom immediately. Well, boom immediately for us. The last NA qualifier was last week after all, so they've had some breathing room to figure out what's going on, and we posted the groups yesterday, day before. My timeline's kind of skewed, but the point is,
Day before.
tomorrow's groups are going to be played out for North America, the first one, and it's going to be pretty good times, and make sure you guys mark it on your calendar. But if you can't mark it on your calendar, check it out on ours. Just advertise in our website real quick, basetrade.tv. And of course, on the website, there's a calendar that lets you guys see everything and anything that we are casting exclusively. So I know Team Liquid can be a little bit cluttered and confusing for those who have never been there before, because everyone's events are on there. Basetrade.tv is exclusively our events, what we're casting, when we're casting it.
Yep. And we do try and keep that up to date as possible, but sometimes things rise last second.
Yeah. The other thing too is there's no ads or anything on the site, guys. Like this isn't like a push to have you go and get us a couple of cents and dollars. Like the idea is that the website, excuse me, is for you. So if you have any feedback or questions on the website, let us know, because we want to keep improving it and making it the best tool possible for you guys to keep up to date with what we're doing.
That was a super quick pause, and then go from the person who paused. And then
Yeah, well, I mean, he relogged before this.
A second.
Well, hang on. So he relogged before this. He does this little bit of a pause thing. It might actually be that NaNiwa was... Oh, that Cybercore looks really weird. Like, partially finished. It may just be that NaNiwa had some gear stuff he was fixing. Maybe there's some fluff in his mouse. I don't know.
I'm sure. It just was funny that Snute ended up being the one who needed the pause anyways. It's like, second. I was doing something.
You paused and I tapped out, man. Start texting my girl. Give me a moment.
He is relogging, though, like more than once or twice per best of 3. So he also might just trying to get better ping, like just hoping that it might fix some of the lag he's getting, latency from being in America, which we think he's in. Like, yeah. It sounds like a desperate gambit because it's only going to help so much, but sometimes that is, at least you know that you've tried your best. So relogging is the key.
Going back on that point, let's assume for a moment that NaNiwa is in America like we think he is. I'm surprised he didn't come out to yesterday's qualifiers then, actually, considering A, it was a lot of amateurs who got through, but B, it was at American time on an American server. Just seems like a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, so maybe he's not. Again, like, it would also maybe explain, like, you know, if it's like half a second between seeing the fungals or not, like maybe it's different. Like, I don't know if we'll see anything else. He actually has not said anything. And usually we at least have at some point someone say like, oh, if only I, you know, they'd move that guy a little bit quicker or something like that. So
that pingdo, yeah. I mean, again, we're not trying to make excuses for NaNiwa. It's actually legitimate questions and concerns because we've seen how much sometimes cross-server play can affect players. There are some people out there, like Happy, for example. You could offer Happy to play in $1 million tournament on North America. He'd say no. He just doesn't want to play in North America.
Yep. Well, it is ruins, and it is these diagonal spawns. We had Snute not try and do a Ling attack, which he only kind of partially committed to. You know, it was more like a fake last game anyways, but no Ling drops either, and NaNiwa should be able to go up to his third base pretty easily. He's getting Resonating Glaives, however, and the Dark Shrine, something he was trying to do versus Penguin on Dusk Towers, but of course was under attack at the time. This time, it looks like it's not going to be scouted. That Stalker is trying to patrol. The Overlord is trying to move in, and actually away from the Stalker patrolling, so he could potentially get eyes on at least the Dark Shrine.
So Dark Shrines have actually been, I feel, tainting my perspective on the matchup, thanks to that random versus random tournament we hosted recently, where you just saw pretty much anybody who wasn't their main race not know how to deal with Dark Templar, just straight up. Now, this is, of course, both players play their main race, so it's not going to be the case necessarily, but it was just so gross watching how good DTs could be. Like, seriously, disgusting.
Isn't it BCQ who was abusing them the most?
Everybody was. Anster, BCQD, like, anyone who got Protoss was like, you know what's a good unit I heard? Dark Templar.
Yeah,
this is kind of cool, though. NaNiwa does segment off about 4 Adepts to go to the third base, and this is where we're going to get to see if he's got that transfer micro down. We've been talking about this a lot. Like, do you hold position in the mineral lines? Do you just auto-attack? Do you clump up, or do you set up 2 groups of Adepts transferring around? Like, there's a lot of different ways to actually handle this. Now, unfortunately, seeing Ravagers at both bases does appear to have scared him off and spooked him for the time being. That's not bad. I mean, the Adepts are going to be a bulky part of your army just the same way Zealots are, so sort of like the meaty cannon fodder if you want to keep these alive, but looks like instead of just splitting, he is going to go ham with 8s and can actually take on Ravagers. That was kind of cool out of Snute predicting the end of the transfer.
Yeah. Snute has 1 cautionary spore in his third base, the one that you get when you're not quite sure what they're doing. But that's it. So that's the only detection he would have for the Dark Templar, unless he, of course, has an Overseer hanging around, which he does have the ability to get, but he has 0 of.
So he's going to load up in the Warp Prism. He could probably have just walked one over, honestly, but he doesn't want Snute to get eyes on it. Like, inside the Warp Prism, it's always a guessing game. Is it Adepts? Is it Zealots? I don't know. But it looks like officially at this point, Jesse is taking on people from chat, and he's going against Bobble Convolute first. That's a mistake. Bobble's a pretty good player.
Depths go into the natural, it looks like, with the Shade, while the DTs go into the main. There is a Spore Crawler in there. I didn't see it beneath the Overlord, so it does get targeted down.
Yeah, he's going to get some Overseers in, and the Warp Prism could potentially get this out of here alive. He's going to do as much damage to the lair as possible. Might even get to kill it, all things considered. Goes to bows on top of the Warp Prism. Does pick up the DTs as the Overseers finish. The timing was so sweet out of NaNiwa, but unfortunately doesn't get the, I think, the realest damage he was hoping for down.
Yeah, well, when you commit all of your DTs to one section, it is going to be a lot easier for the Zerg player to clean up. But now you know that DTs are out, and it's going to be a problem later in this game as it's heading towards that macro game. We have Snute with the Incision Pit and the Spire, and now the Hive.
I'm curious. I thought we were going to see double Stargates come down because he did scout the Spire with the DTs. So...
it is unfortunate for Protoss players. I really don't know how they do it, but you see both go down. You see the Hive or the Infestation Pit and the Spire, and you don't know which one they're going to really go for. Usually a double Stargate is the safest way to play for sure, so only seeing one is potentially questionable. As Snute, he can make 9 mutas, see that that's the case, and then make 20 mutas, and then +1 and whatnot. And he's getting Ling upgrades, so he might be already planning on going into it.
One of the problems with the matchup I find right now, though, is that, like, Stalkers, it makes sense. Stalkers are still good against Mutalisks. Stalkers are still effective in general, but not so much against Ravagers and Roaches, it would appear. And a lot of that's the auto attack, more so than the Corrosive Bile. But coupled, the Ravagers are a really good unit to deal with Stalkers. So that's why we don't see a lot of people go mass Stalkers. But in this one instance, mass Blink Stalkers might be the best bet. A couple Archons mixed in here as well. He's going to eat some Corrosive Biles if he's not careful.
Snute is banking quite a lot of money in gas, and I'm not sure why.
Because maybe he wants to go 10 mutas and see if it's safe first or not.
Well, yeah, you might be right. Like, maybe he wants to go in there and see if there's 20 Phoenixes, but he also might be hoping to have an opportunity to get to Ultralisk.
So NaNiwa's going to win this fight, but he ate a lot of Corrosive Bile, so took a lot of very unnecessary damage while this went on, and frankly, lost the Warp Prism, lost a lot of the Stalkers. So now the Mutas coming back home could and should deal with this, I feel. It's not a lot of them, but it's not a lot of anti-air either.
he just used about half of his bank to make a lot more roaches and lings, so that would have certainly taken care of it. And NaNiwa going back is definitely something he has to do. And I think he was banking for those Ultralisk, so loses 2 bases for it, but
Oh.
as I said, he had a bank, so he can
Oh.
replace them pretty quickly. Well, 1.5 bases.
Yeah, now I see what Snute was doing a little bit more clearly. Like, he really wanted to bait NaNiwa into going double Stargates. The fact that NaNiwa didn't take that bait, and he's still going to get, like, a Phoenix or two, that's going to work out really well for him, because Stalkers, way better than Marauders and Marines against Ultras because of their blink ability, not necessarily because of their damage. Immortals, though, however, that's because of their damage. They are going to truck through an Ultralisk, no problem.
Protoss really don't have as much trouble versus Ultras as Terran might. Now, Snoot's really been winning the income war for quite some time, even after losing that base, he's still winning.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, the income graph.
NaNiwa does need to get this base up and running. I mean, that explains Snoot's humongous bank when that attack happened. Now he's used up most of it. Ultras are on the way. He's actually getting a Hydrogen as well, potentially go into Lurkers to make that ultimate composition at the end of the day. And he's getting the upgrades, too.
I really like the Adrenal Glands a lot more than Ultras, just if we're gonna be honest, because there's not a lot of like splash damage right now. The Ultras are gonna be good, sure, they'll be the target, the priority, but lots of Lings with +2 with Adrenal Glands coming up against 1 Archon. That's the only splash damage. It's gonna be really hard to clean this up.
Yeah, that's a good point. They are going to be pretty serious Lings. 2/2 and Adrenal Glands can definitely tear down anything, including Archons, to get enough of us around. But Ultras are certainly going to provide a buffer for the Lings. Maybe the Immortals do attack the Lings instead of the Ultras, or even vice versa. We have Disruptors eventually on the way, as you do need some splash. Even if you realize you're going for Ultras primarily, those Ling surrounds can actually ruin your day. And
there we go.
any reinforcement of Roaches and Hydras will also need that Disruptor. Or, I mean, Storms could have also done it. Colossus, not so much. But it is going to be the Robotics Bay.
So there's 2 really important things moving forward for both players. One is whether Snute tunnel visions into the ground and decides, you know what, even though my opponent may have Disruptors, I'm still going to try and do Lings and Ultras and Vipers and whatnot. The other is for NaNiwa more so, like, does he start overproducing Immortals? Does he start forgetting that Snute could at any point go back into air? Because for Snute, we've all seen this too many times in his EVP. I threw away wave after wave of Ultralisk at you, and now I made 10 Mutalisks, and you've got nothing, and I win the game. So it's kind of dangerous. I'm actually feeling a lot better for Snute in this position just because of his upgrades, but NaNiwa, if he's on top of tech, I think is going to take the advantage late game. But that's really questionable whether that's going to be the case or not. Going to try and chase down these Stalkers. Again, Archon's the only current form of splash damage. Going to be a little bit not so good here. Got him some of the Ravagers, which is kind of cute. Corsair Gear hitting in the backside of this. The Ultras will, of course, get chased off. There's a lot of Immortals. You can't take those fights without those Lings.
Yeah, with all the Lings gone, the Immortals aren't accidentally shooting the Lings. The Stalkers did definitely take a blow to their numbers. Oh god, the Corsair Gear in the middle of that army was pretty good.
Both players taking good hits. This trade's not going too badly. Snute, of course, with a supply lead, but lots of Queens making up that army. Not exactly the most effective units once they're out of energy. Their greatest strength is, of course, transfusing.
Yeah. Ultras are on the way. A lot more Lings are on the way. Snute has 2 other bases to the south, which I don't even think NaNiwa really knows about.
I like the Ling. The Ling flood on this situation is going to be so much better than the Roaches or the Ultras. They are being kited around, and NaNiwa's not handling the situation poorly, but this is his army. Like, he really can't afford to lose everything on the front lines here. Queen's going to be able to soak the hits from Immortals, Psionic units transfusing each other, huge health pools. The Immortals are starting to go down to the back. The Blinding Cloud's coming in, like, way too late.
Yeah, he actually had those Vipers for a while, and I guess they were consuming or he didn't realize they had come out or something like that, so they could have been helpful maybe earlier on. It looks like he will push this back. Yeah, Snute still takes a 50 supply lead overall, but not so bad on any front. NaNiwa could recover.
I don't know. The Ling run by is going to be really hard to defend at this point. That's +2 with Adrenal Glands.
Yeah.
I am looking at this though, like, why did he start range weapon upgrade? Or why did he get range weapon upgrades? I guess gonna keep making Roaches and Ravagers, which is odd, but Ravagers, of course, don't need upgrades thanks to their Corrosive Bile.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I don't know. Why not just get the 3/3?
So NaNiwa got that Robo down. I thought that we were gonna see, like, War Prism Speed, Disruptors, or even Colossus maybe. Like, unlikely, but maybe. But the Robo Bay goes unused so far.
Yeah, now getting Templar Archives. He's gonna have +3, so that'll be helpful. And he did he didn't die right then and there, but only being on 4 bases is really going to start hurting. Losing an army just in general is always going to be
Ooh.
bad. He realizes
Ooh.
that Snute has a ton of mining going on over here and is going to try and harass, but these adepts can no longer be like the suicide, like no big deal that they
Kind of
well might
expensive
have
for
been early
NaNiwa.
on. Or if NaNiwa had a 5th base, which he really needs.
Well, the army for Snoot is starting to get a little out of hand at this point. The concern here for NaNiwa really it doesn't lie in production. It does not even lie in income. It lies in what type of production he has. I mean, there's a ton of gateways. There's a couple of robos, but I don't know how long Archon Immortal's going to cut it versus massive, massive Lings and Ravagers to boot.
I'm not sure why Snute is dedicating to the centrifugal hooks for the Baneling nest. This kind of feels like it's the like
Actually,
I have a nice economy, so I can get whatever I want in case I need it.
maybe
But I'm
I
not
can
sure
actually
what it would be used for.
I can actually see it. If there's a lot of Adepts and Zealots waiting for him, Banelings are going to trade out way better than Zerglings would. I'm not saying it's the
Yeah,
most cost-effective way to go about things, but you can't rely on ultras for splash damage like you normally would.
I just I don't know. I would like the zealots and the adepts could be a big problem for his lings, but it is going to be more of a like a mortal archon, before behind it that do well against banelings. After all, it is. Hey, if I can use them, I will. It's just Legacy of the Void doesn't really allow for the mass late game upgrades because you have a 5,000 bank, you know? You start getting a little silly getting the bunker upgrade, and that's actually some minerals you really could use because you take one in bad engagement.
Hmm.
Snoot is getting another bank, though, so things have calmed down. He's back up to a good number of bases, with this one being taken in the top right, and he is finally getting those 3/3 upgrades, which he skipped to get to +2 missile.
Shout out Aesthetic79, by the way, for the 9-month resub. Thank you kindly. Oh, nice warp in out of NaNiwa. That's a big wall of Zealots, belated, waiting to take on these Lings, but with the Adrenal Glands having hopped on most of them, a couple died before they even come in. Lings do run by to this base on the right side, and like we said, this is something that's going to be harder to deal with. Lings with Adrenal Glands tear through buildings. This Nexus is going to fall.
Yep. You're gonna need to basically SimCity your Nexus, or just always anticipate where the Lings are. But that pulled the entire army out of position. The
Oh.
feedbacks are used. So a couple of storms also go down. Not
The
bad.
the Immortal Score is going to deal with the Ultralisks. The feedback was questionable because it wasn't a lot to feedback, but I really like the storms hitting. Like, it blanketed that army.
Yeah.
Oh, meanwhile, one
what-
Derpalisk manages to find its way into the main base.
What?
It's like, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
I like that he works in stalkers to take care of it, but of course he's a little busy focusing elsewhere, so
Yeah.
can't micro the stalkers.
Actually, so we're kind of giggling about this Ultras, but it did a big job where it opened the door. Now NaNiwa is no longer protected in this base so easily. He does have to segment his unit back to defend it. He's got to defend this base at the same time because it's his only real mining base he can rely on. Eating a lot of corrosive biles. Snute multitasking is catching him off guard, just like a Terran dropping all over the map.
Yeah, this is. He's done a decent enough job holding on, but it's that 5th base going down, or the 4th base, sorry, the 4th base going down that is really hurting NaNiwa here. He should be slowly creeping up to max, and now he's having trouble breaking 150. Damn, those Lings now have +3 weapons too, and they're about to have the Carapace. Like, they are strong.
Yeah, actually, the Brood Lords, funny enough, are going to be really, really good in this situation too. Because I guess we talked about the possible air swap in reference to Mutalisks, but late game, 18 minutes in, Brood Lords will get the job done as well. Because Archons, they don't have the range. Templar Storms kind of tickle, and Brood Lords are just going to sit so far away the Stalkers can't really get to them easily.
Yeah, that's all NaNiwa can really depend on is stalkers. He doesn't even have that many. Still no 5th base. This feels a little all-in-y, especially when he sees the Broodlords and realizes he will not be able to get up to Tempests in time, or actually kind of at all. He's really quite low in his minerals. This is hitting as the upgrades are finishing up too. That was odd padding.
Yep.
And now they all
Happens.
collect themselves.
I will say this though, from his corrosive biles, whether it's at the fault of NaNiwa or to his own behest, have been like really good this game. Stormcore is going to scare this back a little bit because Ravagers don't have a lot of health, so pushing in is going to be scary. But here come the Broodlings. Uh-oh. I think this comes to a complete surprise for NaNiwa. Like, he was really not expecting this.
Yeah, and what does NaNiwa even do? He still doesn't have an extra base. He's
Oh,
barely
Corsair Gear, retreat
mining.
path. Crystal Path and Tree Path. Oh no!
He can run away, or he can try.
Yeah,
He
but
could run the
Archon's
other
bleeding
direction,
out.
but-
Snute just needs to hold this in place so the Broodlords can get that damage done. Unfortunately, at least the Broodlords a little bit exposed to the Stalkers do blink forward and start picking them off, but the army from Snute in the south is getting obliterated. Combination of Mortals, combination Storms. However, this does look like it's trading out a lot more evenly than even I expected it to. There's just no way. Like,
Yeah.
the Broodlords eventually will win, and the Ling Flood reinforcements are going to be better than things that the NaNiwa can warp in. So Snute's still going to like chip away, bleed away, and win this game most likely at this rate, but that was a really good fight from NaNiwa.
That was a surprisingly good fight. The Blink Stalkers, they didn't tear down the Broodlords too quickly, but the left side
Oh,
going so
they get
well for him
exposed.
definitely helped. Well, they have nothing to really reinforce. Like a couple of Lings try and get back and realize they left the Broodlords alone, are now going to get on top of them. The Broodlords still alive. GG. NaNiwa just had nothing to fall back on.
Well, he does have